Welcome everybody to our first council meeting of July. Happy summer to all, and pre-happy 4th of July as we celebrate our nation's 249th birthday this coming Friday. I know we'll be talking about what the city's going to be doing a little bit later, but welcome. At this time, Madam Clerk, will you please read the adequate notice of compliance statement?
Yes. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the City Clerk's office in preparation of the Council Annual Meeting Notice dated December 16, 2025, which was properly distributed and posted per statutory requirements. Please be advised the fire exits are to my right, your left, and at the back of the room. The City has a listening system to assist the hearing impaired. If anyone needs hearing assistance, please obtain the system at the dais and return it thereafter.
Thank you so much. Roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Present.
Ms. Hamlet?
Here.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Here.
Mr. Pulaski?
Here.
Mr. Smallwood?
Here.
Ms. Toth?
Here.
President McTierney.
Present. All right, at this time, I'd like to call from our audience. We have a former council member, Patrick Hurley. Would you do us the honor of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Hurley. Okay, Madam Clerk, will you please read at this time the explanatory note regarding closed sessions and hearings and comments?
A closed session meeting as authorized by state statute was announced and held prior to the start of this meeting, and the known items for discussion were listed on the published closed session agenda. Please be advised that council meetings are broadcast live on Comcast channels 34 and 36 and Verizon channel 30, and rebroadcast on Thursdays and Saturdays on HTTV, on Comcast 36 and Verizon 33. When invited to speak, please come to the lectern, clearly state your name and address, spell your last name, and speak into the podium microphone so that your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever an audience or council member reads from a prepared statement, please give or email a copy to the city clerk at cityclerk@cityofsummit.org. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers shall limit their comments to 3 minutes. Unless you're using an electronic device to follow the meeting agenda or need it for professional emergency contact purposes, please turn it off. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, at this time, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of regular and closed session meetings of June 16, 2025, as well as the minutes for our special meeting of June 24th, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. All right, we're on to one of my favorite parts of each of these meetings, which is our report section. And as always, Madam Mayor, do you have a report for us this evening?
Of course I do.
Awesome.
Good evening, everyone. The Summit Police Department is hiring school crossing guards for the 2025 to 2026 school year. Crossing guards will work Monday through Friday from 7:45 to 8:30 a.m. and again 3 p.m. to 3:45 p.m. when school is in session. Uniforms and training are provided by the Summit Police Department. More information, including the application, is available on the city website, and there are also copies of the application at our police records window here in City Hall. Our annual 4th of July celebration is taking place this Friday at Soldiers Memorial Field. We have a fantastic lineup of music and entertainment and food trucks and incredible fireworks display at the end of the night. Please be aware there will be road closures in the area throughout the day and the night for the fireworks and to help facilitate pedestrian traffic. The full event schedule is available on both the city website and the Department of Community Programs website. And last, I invite residents to join us on the Village Green this summer for our movie and concert series on Tuesday and Thursday nights in July and August. The first screen on the green of the summer is this Thursday, July 3rd, and the first summer concert is on Tuesday, July 15th. These are always very popular events and a fun way to spend time outside in our beautiful downtown with neighbors and friends. The full schedule is available on both the city website and the DCP website. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have our city administrative report today, Ms. Baldwin?
Yes, thank you, Council President. City offices will be closed on Friday, July 4th. It is also a parking holiday in Summit with no fees required for on-street parking or parking in the municipal lots and garages. The transfer station will be closed on Friday, July 4th as well. There's also no recycling collection on Friday, July 4th. The Friday collection will be pushed to Saturday, July 5th, and there's no change to the trash collection this week. It will still be collected on holidays in Summit. July dates for the Summit Free Market are Saturday, July 12th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Friday, July 25th from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Summit residents with a parking disposal permit can attend and browse donated items and take what they want for free. Donation guidelines are available at cityofsummit.org/free market. I don't have a lot more information to provide right at this moment, so stay tuned. But as many of you know, our tier garage decks 3 and 4 remain closed at this time. There was a structural inspection done, and we will be responding very soon with the next steps in that process and where we'll be at. So stay tuned for that. And that completes my report.
Thank you so much. My council president's report will be brief. Today is the first day of July, which means we are now officially in round 4 of our Mount Laurel obligation. So we, as everyone is aware, we approved a plan last week. Round 4 starts as of today. So round 3 is in the rearview mirror. I gave a good synopsis of that a week ago, of our successful completion of all that. And now we go into, as I mentioned, fairly new territory. I would suspect we have now a 2-month window where interested parties can come and challenge our plan. We'll see if that happens. My guess is there will be some, and we will deal with those as they come in. That window closes August 31st. Depending on those challenges, we will work those out. I think the legislation, their time frame is by the end of the year. That's their time frame. We'll see if that holds up with the court masters and all that good stuff. But that's where we are now. There is some things on the agenda tonight that are related to our round 4 obligation. And again, this is all about controlling our own development and our own zoning. And so it's important that we comply with the plan and provide affordable housing, which we all want to do. But we'll do it in a way that hopefully we can keep as much control over our development as humanly possible. And that's it for my report. Okay. All right, now is our historical minute. Councilman Pulowski.
Thank you. Tonight we have Chelsea Asitimbe, Summit High School graduate and current student at Boston College. She's a summer intern for the Summit Housing Authority, and she's going to discuss race car driver and Summit native Mark Donahue. Thank you, Chelsea.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and fellow residents. I come before you tonight to speak on behalf of preserving an irreplaceable piece of Summit's history, the home at 68 Valley View Avenue, built around 1895. This is more than just an old house. It's a landmark that holds deep cultural and historical significance for our community. This week, as the new Brad Pitt Formula One movie enters into theaters, it's the perfect moment to reflect on one of Summit's own, Mark Donahue Jr., a legendary race car driver born right here in town on March 18, 1937, and who once called 68 Valley View his home. Under the guidance of Roger Penske, Mark became a motorsports icon, winning the United States Road Racing Championship and famously the Indianapolis 500 in 1972, setting a record speed. His tragic passing in 1975 shocked the racing world. Over 1,000 mourners filled St. Teresa's Church right here in Summit, where he was confirmed and received First Communion. The crowd included racing legends like Marco Andretti, Bobby Allison, and Tom Sneva. His impact reached far beyond this town, but it began in that house. And now it is on the verge of being torn down. But let me be clear, we don't have to lose this home to grow as a town. There is a compromise. The land can be divided, a new house built, and the historic home preserved and expanded at the rear. This is not about stopping development. It's about doing it with respect for our city's heritage. It's about honoring the past while building for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
I learn something new every day. I honestly did not know that. That's great. Thank you very, very much. All right. We are now moving right along. We're on our, we have a few ordinances for hearings this evening. Madam Clerk, will you please read the first ordinance from Finance?
Ordinance number 25-3344, an ordinance appropriating funds for school improvements in the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey, and authorizing issuance of $12,606,500 school bonds or notes of the city to meet said appropriation.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Toth.
Thank you, Council President. I'm deferring to Councilmember Smallwood.
Thank you, Councilmember Toth. This is ordinance ID number 25-3344 for hearing an ordinance appropriating funds for school improvements in the City of Summit in the County of Union, New Jersey, and authorizing issuance of $12,606,500 school bonds or notes of the city to meet said appropriations. On May 29th, the Board of School Estimates approved this ROD grant for roof repairs for our schools. The bond authorization is for $12,606,500. However, in true government fashion, you have to spend money in order to get money. The BOE is expected to receive $5,042,600 in return through the ROD grants from the state of New Jersey. So in essence, the roofs that we are bonding $12 million, but it's really only going to be costing the city $7 million. So I move this ordinance for hearing.
Second.
All right, I'm going to declare our hearing open for this ordinance. At this time, if anyone from the public would like to comment on this ordinance, please do so at this time. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the hearing. And we're moving on then to our next ordinance. I'm sorry, this, I'm on the wrong page. Go back to my pages here. Our next ordinance for hearing, Madam Clerk, will you please read the ordinance from Safety and Health, please?
Ordinance number 25-3345, an ordinance amending the code, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Departments created, Section 2-15, Department of Police, subsection 2-15.1, Establishment, and subsection 2-15.14, Auxiliary Police.
Thank you so much. Councilman Boyer.
Thank you, Council President. This ordinance proposes two important updates to the city code regarding the structure of our Summit Police Department. First, it increases the number of authorized sworn personnel from 50 to 52, adjusting the ranks to allow up to 9 sergeants and up to 38 police officers. This change reflects the department's evolving staffing needs and has already been accounted for in the adopted 2025 municipal budget. Second, it removes outdated language referencing the auxiliary police unit, which no longer is active. The ordinance also includes a provision allowing the department to temporarily exceed staffing limits for up to 180 days during transitions, such as retirements, to ensure continuality of service. With that, I move this ordinance for a vote for final consideration.
No,
for hearing.
Oh, for hearing, yes.
Thank you,
Second.
Councilman Boyer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to declare the hearing open on this Safety and Health ordinance. At this time, if anyone from the public would like to speak, please approach the dais.
Good evening, everyone. Pat Hurley, 192 Ashland Road, of course, in Summit. I know this ordinance solidifies a new and expanded police department, which is, considering the environment, likely warranted. But it's not clear how we came to these decisions. Between 2010 and 2013, there were many discussions about the appropriate size of the department, driven in part by organizational changes made in 2012, including the implementation of new force multiplying technologies. Back then, the council used a baseline published by DOJ of 2 officers per 1,000 residents. This equated to 44 officers. Other variables, such as, but not limited to, response times, highways, detailed crime data, and officer safety were then factored in. This led to a final recommendation of restoring the force to 48 officers after an unfortunate, although fiscally required, cut to 46 in 2010. And that was because City Hall leadership didn't properly plan and could not provide justification, qualitatively or quantitatively, to remain at 48. This year, I've only seen or heard justifications based on opinions, recommendations, and gut feelings. These are obviously extremely important, but they're just a start. Second, with the purchase of an updated camera system for our City Hall earlier this year, both council and the police made a commitment to begin implementing AI-driven technologies in our public safety operations, or at least develop a plan. While I understand better than most, it's not just about technology. I also know we have no choice but to embrace an approach that includes advanced AI-driven technologies integrated in both capability and functionality to support operations, while also enhancing connectivity to our businesses, schools, parks, parking facilities, and even residents. In recent years, our approach to technology appears to have been reactive and even worse, somewhat vendor-driven. For example, we have a drone, but no real publicly vetted drone program. Additionally, as a harbinger of the unavoidable challenges to come, while our police officers acted professionally and correctly, without a doubt, a recent false positive ALPR alert raised very legitimate civil rights and privacy concerns that appeared to catch the city and public off guard. Police departments all over the country are currently dealing with a lot of these issues. I'm concerned we may be missing an opportunity to do what's right by our residents, not just in terms of safety and security, but also for the long-term effectiveness, viability, and efficiency, both fiscally and operationally, of our public safety programs. In 2025, public safety organization staffing and technology are interdependent. They cannot be separate discussions. So is this the right organizational structure? Without a comprehensive and publicly vetted plan, we actually have no way of really knowing. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Other comments from the public? Okay, I'm going to declare the public part of this hearing closed. Any comments from council?
Council President?
Yes,
I
Councilman
will
Boyer.
just say that the justification for police officers happened in January to about, I want to say, March of 2024. We talked about it in great detail. Chief Zagorski at the time went over it. He had a memo and was the precipitous of why we actually did this. So it was grounded in data and statistics and much needed as well. When it comes down to AI-driven technology and cameras, the police chief and I, we talk about it all the time. Actually, we talk about including the former councilman in our plan. It's just, we're just trying to do City Hall and get that, moving. But the plan this year is actually to do a camera master plan. So really plan it out to see where these cameras can be most effective in town. I mean, we have a new park, our first park in the last 100 years, which is the park line. So yeah, that's number one on our mind. So I just wanted to make that statement. Thanks.
Thank you. Other comments from council? All right, hearing none, I'm going to close the hearing on that safety and health ordinance. We have a second safety and health ordinance for hearing today. Madam Clerk, will you please read 25-3346?
Ordinance number 25-3346, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code, Chapter 10, Animal Control, Section 2-14, Vicious Dogs.
Thank you so much. Councilman Boyer.
Thank you, Council President. This ordinance repeals and replaces Section 10-2.14 of the City Code concerning vicious dogs and creates a new framework for handling cases where a dog has exhibited aggressive behavior that causes injury or distress, but does not meet the state's legal threshold to be declared vicious or dangerous. While New Jersey law allows for certain designations and penalties in serious or repeated cases, this ordinance introduces a local classification, aggressive dog, which allows the municipal court to act in situations involving unprovoked attacks that cause bodily injury. It also provides the court with flexibility to impose fines, require muzzling and tethering in public, and implement other safety measures where needed. I move this ordinance for a final hearing.
Second.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to open the hearing to the public at this time. Anyone from the public wish to comment on this ordinance? All right, I'm going to close the hearing for the public. Council members, anyone would like to comment?
Council President, just, yes.
Councilwoman Toth.
Thank you, because I pulled apart this state ordinance, so thank you, Council President. The state ordinance on vicious and potentially dangerous dogs covers dogs that make any unprovoked attack on a person causing injury or more serious, and on another pet causing death or basically near death. So the piece that state law doesn't cover is an unprovoked attack on another pet that isn't fatal or near fatal, and that's the loophole that we're closing here. And I hope I didn't step on your lines, Councilmember Boyer.
Thank you, Councilwoman Toth. Councilman Boyer?
No, Councilwoman Toth, T-O-T-H, we work well together. And I'm glad you took a look at this for us. Yeah, there was a need for this. Over the last year or so, the mayor definitely knows because she gets all the emails. There have been constant reports of dogs not being on a leash, attacking other dogs. My little 15-pound dog was unfortunately attacked one day at the middle school. So this is definitely needed. I love animals, and I think in town, though, we need to be cognizant and keep them leashed, especially, your dog, right? Everybody knows their dog. If your dog's a little rough, then your dog needs to be on a leash, but they need to be on a leash anyway. But thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Just so the public's aware, this is about, for violations, it's $500 for each violation, is that correct?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, any other comments from the public? Yes, Madam Mayor.
Just two comments. One is, I want to reiterate, there is an ordinance that dogs need to be on leashes. So just people need to put their dogs on leashes, just in general, when they're in public. And the second thing was that if you do experience a dog attacking either a human or another pet or animal, please do report it, because the only way that we can actually address the behavior is if it's reported. I know that I've been told by our humane officer that sometimes people call, 6 months later and say, oh, by the way, this happened and it wasn't reported, and so therefore the behavior is not addressed. So I just want to clarify that and make sure people understand that this is not a nuisance to call the police. Please do so, and we can address the behavior.
Great, thank you. Good comment. Other comments from council? Yeah, I would just say most of us love dogs, but we want to have a community where we love our dogs and everyone is kept safe. So I'm glad that we are, as Councilwoman Toth mentioned, closing a loophole here to make it safer. So thank you. All right, if no other comments, I'm going to declare the hearing closed on the dog ordinance. And then, so we have an ordinance for hearing capital projects and community services, but my understanding is this is going to be pulled. Councilman Pulowski?
Yeah. So before I move to table this ordinance number 25-3347, just had a couple comments. First, we inadvertently noticed this for a hearing tonight instead of on the 29th. Because this proposed ordinance would modify the DRO, it has to go through the planning board for a consistency review first. And because we couldn't have a hearing on this legally before the planning board's had an opportunity to perform that consistency review. So, but notwithstanding, we are considering some additional revisions to it, and most likely will introduce a new version on the 29th with a hearing hopefully in September. So with that, I move to table this ordinance.
So point of order, Madam Clerk, do we have to read the ordinance before we table it?
I would recommend that.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, will you please read ordinance number 253347?
Ordinance number 25-3347, an ordinance of the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey, repealing Section 2-29 Historic Preservation Commission of the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Summit and creating a new Part 5 Historic Preservation of Chapter 35 Development Regulations.
Great, thank you. All right, now, at this time, Councilman Pulaski, you want to make a motion?
Yes, I move to table this ordinance.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to table this ordinance. Do we need a roll call for that?
No, I don't believe so. That's
Okay, so all in favor of tabling this?
Aye.
Aye.
Voting aye. And opposed?
Council President, I just had a quick comment. There were some questions from a resident today whether or not we have to notice if we are tabling something, and I confirmed with the city clerk today that that's not necessary to notice. So there were some questions today on whether or not we needed to let the public know, and it sounded as though we're doing it the right way.
Yeah, okay, great, good color, thank you. Okay, so that ordinance, the tabling of that ordinance passes. All right, so now we're on to our section for ordinances for final consideration. Madam Clerk, will you please read finance number 25-3344?
an ordinance appropriating funds for school improvements in the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey, authorizing issuance of $12,606,500 of school bonds or notes of the city to meet said appropriation.
Thank you so much. Councilman Smallwood?
Thank you, Council President. This is ordinance number 25-3344. An ordinance authorizing the issuance of $12,606,500 for school bonds or notes to repair the roofs of the majority of our school system. And I moved this ordinance for final consideration.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlet?
Aye.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Aye.
Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toth?
Aye.
President McTiernan?
Aye. Motion carries. All right, Madam Clerk, will you please read the Safety and Health Ordinance 25-3345?
An ordinance amending the code, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Departments created, Section 2-15, Department of Police, subsection 2-15.1, Establishment, and subsection 2-15.14, Auxiliary Police.
Thank you so much. Councilman Boyer.
Thank you, Council President. Having just had a hearing on 25-3345, I move this ordinance for a final vote for consideration.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlet?
Aye.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Aye.
Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toth?
Aye.
President McTiernan?
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, Safety and Health Ordinance number 25-3346. Would you please be so kind to read this one, Madam Clerk?
An ordinance amending and supplementing the code, Chapter 10, Animal Control, Section 2-14, Vicious Dogs.
Thank you so much. Councilman Boyer.
Thank you, Council President. Once again, having just had a hearing on 25-3346, I move this ordinance for a vote for final consideration.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlet?
Aye.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Aye.
Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toth?
Aye.
President McTiernan?
Aye. Motion carries. All right, the last one has been tabled or pulled. So we are then now on to ordinances for introduction. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Everything's falling apart here. Okay, we have a few this evening. Madam Clerk, will you please read the first finance ordinance for introduction, please?
ID number 12024, bond ordinance providing for the improvement of the sewerage facilities owned by the joint meeting of Essex and Union Counties, excuse me, appropriating $275,000 therefore, and authorizing issuance of $261,500 bonds or notes for financing same.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Toth.
Thank you, Council President. This bond ordinance relates to the joint meeting, our shared sewer facility with other communities in the area. As you yourself have stated many times, Council President, this may be Summit's most valuable asset. The joint meeting regularly assesses its members for capital projects. Summit plans for this and sets aside funds each year. The current assessment is for slightly more than Summit has set aside. Hence, we must contribute an additional $275,000 to meet our assessment and must issue an additional $261,500 in bonds or notes to raise the funds. As ever, that 5% difference in those two numbers is the down payment and comes from the sewer utilities operating budget. I move to introduce this ordinance.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlet?
Aye.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Aye.
Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toth?
Aye.
President McTiernan?
Aye. Okay, so motion carries for the hearing date on the 29th. That's right. Madam Clerk, will you please read the second finance ordinance for introduction?
ID number 12027, bond ordinance appropriating $5,501,000 and authorizing issuance of $5,238,000 bonds or notes of the city for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the City of Summit.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Toth.
Thank you, Council President. These will be shorter. This bond ordinance stems from the city's 2025 budget and authorizes issuing bonds or notes sufficient to cover our 2025 capital plan. I move to introduce this ordinance.
I second.
Thank you so much. Roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlet?
Aye.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Aye.
Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toth?
Aye.
President McTiernan?
Aye, motion carries. Finance number 3, please read that ordinance for us, Madam Clerk.
ID 12028, bond ordinance appropriating $2,085,000 and authorizing issuance of $1,985,000 bonds or notes of the city for various sewer utility improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the City of Summit.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Toth.
Thank you, Council President. This bond ordinance stems from the Sewer Utilities 2025 budget and authorizes issuing bonds or notes sufficient to cover the Sewer Utilities 2025 capital plan. I move to introduce this ordinance.
Do I have a second?
Second, sorry.
Thank you so much. Roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlet?
Aye.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Aye.
Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toth?
Aye.
President McTiernan?
Aye. All right, you're almost done, Councilwoman Toth. Madam Clerk, will you please read the last finance ordinance for introduction?
ID 12033, bond ordinance providing for the improvement of parking facilities in and by the City of Summit, appropriating $2,997,000 therefore, and authorizing issuance of $2,854,000 bonds or notes of the city for financing such appropriation.
Thank you. Councilwoman Toth.
Thank you, Council President. This bond ordinance stems from the Parking Utilities 2025 budget and authorizes issuing bonds or notes sufficient to cover the Parking Utilities 2025 capital plan, and none too soon. I move to introduce this ordinance.
I second.
Thank you so much. Roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlet?
Aye.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Aye.
Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toth?
Aye.
President McTiernan?
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Safety and health number 1 has been pulled. So we're moving to safety and health number 2. Madam Clerk, will you please read that ordinance for us?
ID 12016, an ordinance amending Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-13.1, turn prohibitions of the revised general ordinances of the City of Summit.
Thank you so much. Councilman Boyer.
Thank you, Council President. This ordinance proposes a traffic modification at the intersection of River Road and Irish Road to prohibit left turns, effectively making it a right turn and a right turnout intersection. Following initial community feedback early in 2023, the concept received strong support from residents. Since then, city staff, along with our city engineer here, have worked to develop design solutions and coordinate with Union County, which granted the final approval earlier this year. To reinforce the restriction, signage will be installed, and a physical island is proposed to deter illegal turning movements. This island may be temporarily marked with paint until permanent construction can be completed. I move this ordinance for a hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlet?
Aye.
Ms. Kalmanson?
Aye.
Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toth?
Aye.
President McTiernan?
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, thank you for getting through all those. We're now on to the resolution portion of our meeting. We have a few. First off is Finance. Councilwoman Toth.
Okay. Thank you, Council President. Resolution 12039 amends our 2025 capital budget to cover costs not originally included. The increases are caused by soft costs imposed by Section 20 of the New Jersey Local Bond Law. These include financing costs, the financial advisor, the bond counsel, the credit agencies, and the auditor. The Section 20 costs are incorporated in the bond ordinances introduced earlier in the evening. Across the three capital budgets, municipal sewer and parking, these costs total $465,000, or 4.51% of the original combined capital budgets. For just the municipal capital budget, the cost totaled $244,500, or 4.65% of the original capital budget. If the Section 20 costs come in lower than expected, we'll cancel the excess funds to capital surplus and use them to pay off debt service. And further, City Administrator Baldwin will structure next year's capital budget process to prevent this from recurring. In the meantime, I move to adopt this resolution via a roll call vote.
Second.
All right, at this time, are there any comments from the public? Any comments from council?
May I?
Yes, Councilwoman Toth.
I simply wanted to add, I had sat down, or had a long conversation yesterday with City Administrator Baldwin and our chief head of the finance department about alternatives to amending the capital budget. All of those alternatives probably wouldn't have gotten us to a better place. It would have required us to pull the bond ordinances, introduce them later in the year. It would push back issuing the bonds and beginning construction or purchasing until the fourth quarter of the year. We would have missed out on matching funds. So that while I am loath to spend any more money than we originally planned, the alternative is worse.
Thank you. Other comments? Yeah, I would just say, for those who are into the nitty-gritty of the process, right, we go through a very long, the capital budget starts with the department heads in the third quarter of the year, so they're going to be starting to do next year's kind of in September. And this rolls up to where we adopt the ordinance or the capital budget along with the operating budget. We did it in early May this year. You'll notice we haven't put anything out for bid yet, and we haven't been able to because we haven't been able to issue bonds yet for all that. So there is a process that goes through. We need to have the money in place before then we can go and all the things that we want to do with the city. Once the bonds are then issued, we can start to put these things out for bid. So you'll probably start to see those types of things come in front of the council in the fall. Is that correct, City Administrator? Yeah, okay, good. All right, other comments? Okay, Roll call, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Ms. Hamlet?
Aye.
Ms. Comiston?
Aye.
Mr. Pulaski?
Aye.
Mr. Smallwood?
Aye.
Ms. Toth?
Aye.
President McTiernan?
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we're going on to capital projects and community services. Resolution number 1, Councilwoman Hamlet.
Thank you, Council President. City Administrator Baldwin, just for clarification, I should read the agreement and the resolution, correct? Assuming both of them? The agreement first?
There's 2 separate resolutions.
Right, just the,
So it's the development agreement,
Yep.
authorizing, and then on the second one, first amendment to the agreement.
right, okay. Yes, this is a resolution of the City of Summit, County of Union, authorizing the mayor to execute the development agreement between the City of Summit and BCUW, Madeline Housing Partners LLC, regarding the development of 17 Kent Place, Block 1911, Lot 5 of the Methodist Church of the Summit property. Whereas the City of Summit filed a declaratory judgment complaint in the Superior Court Law Division seeking, among other things, a judicial declaration that its housing element and fair share plan to be amended as necessary satisfies its fair share of the regional need for low and moderate income housing pursuant to the Mount Laurel Doctrine, whereas the City and Fair Share Housing Center entered into a settlement agreement in October 14th, 2016, as amended December 13th, 2018, which was approved by the court at a properly noticed fairness hearing, and the city's 2018 Housing Element and Fair Share Plan was approved by the court after a duly noticed compliance hearing. And the court entered a final JOR in the city's favor on January 22nd, 2019. The court approved Fair Share Housing Center settlement agreement included language related to the city's unmet need obligation that states the City of Summit shall take all reasonable steps needed to achieve the goal of facilitating the construction of 50 new rental ownership affordable units within the city in 100% scattered site affordable housing developments. Whereas since the court's approval of the Fair Share Housing Settlement Agreement, the city has been working diligently to meet the goal of facilitating the construction of 50 new units by July 1st, 2025. The church approached the city to inquire if its former education building located at 17 Kent Place Boulevard, which is literally right across the corner here, which is, again, Block 1911, Lot 5, which is underutilized and could be repurposed for a small 100% affordable senior rental project. And whereas after meeting with the city, the church began working with Bergen County United Way and Madeline Housing Partners LLC, BCUW, to determine whether the education building could be adopted and renovated for that purpose. BCUW has determined that a project of up to 12 senior units could be created out of that building. I think that's a Scribner's error, though, Rosie, because I think it's 13.
I'd have to check with, I think it's, yeah.
What's that?
Up to 13.
Up to 13, okay.
Up to 13.
Should say up to 13. Whereas the city is supportive of the creation of affordable senior rental units that this project will create, allowing very low and moderate income seniors to live in Summit with walkable access to the downtown train station. The city, BCUW, the church, and the city entered into an MOU on June 16th, 2025, which contains terms and conditions for BCUW to renovate the church educational building for 100% senior apartments, affordable senior apartments. And the Fair Share, both the MOU and the Fair Share Housing Center consent order require that the city enter into a development agreement with BCUW to renovate the building to create the affordable senior units. I would like to move this resolution.
Second.
All right, do we have any comments from the public?
Hurley, 192 Ashland Road. I wasn't going to talk about, I just can't resist responding to this. So this is consistent, I know I can't ask you guys questions, this is consistent with the 2016 settlement and the overlay zones where our intention for affordable housing and low-income housing was distributed throughout the city as opposed to massive, high-density structures in the downtown. At least that's the way it sounds to me, which I think is great that we're doing that and we're consistent with the original intent of the 2016 settlement. And again, in the overlay zones that we passed way back then and the distributed housing. And I think it's a great approach. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Other comments from the public? All right, comments from council?
I mean, I would just say one, I would
Yes,
say
Councilwoman Hamlet.
to former, the councilman sitting in the audience, kudos to you and that team for doing that, developers, doing all of those agreements with Fair Share. This is an exciting project, and it does go to show you that we don't have to build overly dense housing. And these are really special projects that I think everybody can get behind. So you're a part of that, so thank you.
Good comment. Other comments? Councilman Smallwood.
Thank you, Council President. I totally agree with former Councilman Hurley. And I would just simply like to thank the United Methodist Church for stepping up and offering underutilized space that can certainly help our seniors. I think there are potentially some other areas in our downtown that that are owned by faith-based organizations that could potentially possibly work with maybe even our house to maybe offer some of their vacant or open land as well to help meet some of our affordable needs for our fourth round. So I look forward to some of those organizations stepping up for this next 10 years.
Thank you. Other comments from council? Yeah, I would just add, this is a kind of bittersweet. I would also like to thank the Methodist Church. It's a bittersweet because where they're building this was a nursery school prior to this. It was called Beginnings. And this was where my kids all went. So all 5 of them, or 4 of them, I don't know, 4 of them went there. And it was a wonderful, wonderful welcoming place. And honestly, we met some of our first friends in Summit going through that experience. And so
Maybe you could live there as a senior.
yeah, I could. It would go full circle. Yeah, so this is fantastic that we're doing this, and I'm happy that the United Methodist Church is stepping up to help our community and provide affordable housing as well. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, capital projects number 2, Councilwoman Hamlet.
Sorry. Okay. So I'm just going, do I have to read the agreement
First Amendment.
No, you can read the title.
Yeah.
for the agreement?
No, you don't have to read the whole agreement. You can read the
The title.
just the title.
Look here.
No, I'm saying, do I need to, the agreement is attached for BCUW. Do I need to read that into the record or no?
No. you
Okay.
don't.
Okay. Here we go. So we are at ID 12015. This resolution of the City of Summit, County of Union, authorizing the mayor to execute the first amendment to the affordable housing agreement between the City of Summit and Our House. Whereas the city received a final judgment of compliance and repose order from the court on January 25th, 2019, and approved the city's housing element and fair share plan. Whereas Our House is a New Jersey nonprofit corporation that owns and operates 4-bedroom group home at 1 Greenfield Avenue in the City of Summit, and known as Block 401, Lot 50 on the tax maps. Whereas the city has proposed a per-bedroom subsidy in exchange for the recording of a 30-year deed restriction on the premises, which would render group home creditworthy under the New Jersey Fair Housing Act, COA regulations, the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls, and the city's Affordable Housing Ordinance, which will count towards the city's affordable housing obligation. I would like to move this resolution.
Second.
All right, would any member of the public like to comment on this resolution? All right, council members? Comments? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Capital projects number 3, Councilwoman Hamlet.
Thank you, Council President. As discussed in closed session, this is ID 12037. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Summit approving a 4th-round Affordable Housing Trust Fund spending plan and requesting program and court approval of the spending plan. Whereas the City of Summit has an approved development fee ordinance that was adopted on December 5th, 2023, which established standards for the collection, maintenance, and expenditure of development fees. And the city's previous Affordable Housing Trust Fund spending plan was approved by the court on January 25th, 2019. And the city has prepared a fourth round spending plan consistent with the amended FHA and other applicable regulations, which projects anticipated revenues to the city's Affordable Housing Trust Fund and describes anticipated expenditures of funds. So I guess to just explain it real briefly to the public, when we complete our housing element and fair share plan, we're also required to write a spending plan that includes all of the things that we're going to spend money on. So whether it's affordability controls, administrative fees for our attorneys, it's all laid out in here. I imagine that we will probably have to amend this as we get more projects. So this won't be the last time you've seen it. And I do think we'll be making a couple of updates to this as well. So I'd like to move this resolution.
Second.
All right, would any member of the public like to comment on this resolution? Council members, comments? Yeah, I would just reiterate what Councilwoman Hamlet said. This is a plan. We don't have a crystal ball, so this will be amended as projects are completed in town and we give money that flows into the trust fund. We will be hopefully paying out money to actually help support affordable housing rather than it all going to lawyers and consultants, which is I think 20% of the fund is available for that type of thing, which is too high in my opinion, but that's the world we live in. So this will be amended. We'll see it as we get projects, but this is the first step on what we do know, and so that is the plan. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, on to safety and health number 1, Councilman Boyer.
I have a quick question. So, don't we need to adopt a resolution for the lieutenant, sergeant, and police officer before we appoint the police officer?
So we need to do number 2 first.
No, this
No?
appointment is not because of the vacancies. Am I
Yeah.
correct?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Chief, please.
Thanks, Chief. Clear it up for us.
This officer is actually replacing retired Chief Zagorski or Driver. Yeah, the vacancy declarations for lieutenant, sergeant, and police officer are going to be for Lieutenant Byrne, who put his paperwork in to be retired by September. So we're trying to, in an effort to maintain our efficiency, like you had referenced before in the ordinance, it's our intention to post the vacancies now. We have to run a subsequent lieutenant's test. We already have Detective Garita on standby for the sergeant's list, and then obviously if you guys saw online, we are hiring not only crossing guards but police officers. And we, just like most police departments in the state of New Jersey and the nation, are running into a little bit of an issue with recruitment. So if anybody's watching and is interested and is certified, please feel free to submit your application on Prime Point. But yeah, so this vacancy was already filled for the lieutenants, sergeants, and captains positions. We just had to wait for Officer Garcia to complete his 2-year tenure at the Patterson Police Department in order to check off the minimum qualifications for our police officers. And he will be doing that this week, giving his 2 weeks and then being sworn in. I think it was July 21st, hopefully, with your approval.
That's right. Yep.
Cool.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, Councilman Boyer, want to talk about safety and health number 1?
Yes, and thank you, Chief Peters, for clearing that up. We've had so many new police officers in the last year. This is ID 12007, the appointment of Ivan Garcia as police officer. I move this for adoption.
Second.
Comments from the public? Comments from council?
Yes.
Councilman Boyer.
Just want to make a quick comment about Officer Garcia. We interviewed him several months ago, and he is the friend of another officer that came from Patterson, Uriel, who the transition to Summit has been amazing. I see Uriel everywhere, and he is an amazing officer to the kids and to the public. Both of these individuals, and even Ivan, I remember interviewing them. They drove around Summit and they said, "This is the town that I want to work in. This is a beautiful town." And both of these guys have brought so much street experience but with the patience and integrity that is needed for a town like this. And we are lucky to get Officer Ivan Garcia, and he's got another big personality, so I'm sure you'll meet him if you haven't. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Comments from the public? Oh, we just did that, yeah. So any other comments from council? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, safety and health number 2, Councilman Boyer.
Thank you, Council President. This is ID number 12010, declaring vacancies for lieutenant, sergeant, and the police officer. And I want to say congratulations to Lieutenant Michael Burns on his retirement, and thank him for his service to this city. Truly appreciated. And now we have some additional openings, so that is what this resolution is about. And I move this resolution for final adoption.
Thank you so much.
Second.
Second, thank you. Comments from the public? Comments from council?
Just one quick thing, and I hope that Lieutenant Burns is having a retirement party. I look forward to those. So Chief Peters, let me know. All right.
All right, other comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're on to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? I've got you, Councilwoman. Let's hit the motion first.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, before I open it up to comments from the public.
Sorry, Council
No,
President.
there were some other resolutions before the consent agenda.
No, there
No,
are
it's
not.
on
Now we're done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're on the consent agenda.
You are on the consent.
Yep.
Whoa.
No problem, but before I open it up to comments from the public, there are a bunch from finance, and I think it would make sense for the public if Councilwoman Toth
Okay.
explained what Chapter 159 is.
Ooh, that was the part I hadn't written. Thank you, Council President. But City Administrator Baldwin would be happy to explain 159.
Yes, through you, Council President. Chapter 159 is what the state, New Jersey State, calls an amend to your budget. So when you get a grant after we've adopted our budget for the year, you have to amend the budget to include these grants. So it involves a resolution, and then this resolution gets sent to the state, they approve it, it's then inserted in our budget. So oftentimes, for those who are into the nitty-gritty of the budget, you'll see that we might adopt $600,000 in grants when we do our budget, but when we go in the next year and you see what did we have finally in 2025, it might be $1 million or more because other grants came in and amended our budget. So these are all Chapter 159 grants coming in that we need to amend the budget for so that we can spend them.
That's great. Did you have something else you
Well,
wanted to add?
I was
Councilwoman
simply
Toth?
going to add that we do not include grants in our budget until we've actually got the money in hand. And that's why these are coming in. It's best practices not to count your chickens before they're hatched. And most of them are fairly small. The $363,000 for the Springfield Avenue lights is to upgrade the traffic signals in downtown. So we can all look forward to that.
Council President, make a comment? Or no?
Let me have unless it's an explanatory thing, can we just have comments from the public first?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with those explanations, do we have any comments from the public on the consent agenda? All right, at this time, comments from council. Councilwoman Hamlin.
I would just like to thank Bristol Myers Squibb for donating $20,000 for the intergenerational park project grant. Councilman Smallwood, I'm not sure if there's an update on whether or not that playground equipment has been, or the equipment has been ordered. I think it has been.
It has been ordered.
Okay, so I just want to thank them, but this is a lot of Chapter 159, so it's a good thing, and a lot of, especially looking at the Summit Foundation furniture for the 12 Chestnuts, so our senior housing unit, Clean Communities Grant. This is all really good stuff, so it's exciting.
Thank you very much so. Other comments from council? Yes, Ms. Baldwin.
Sorry, I'm not counsel, but through you, there is a correction. The backup seems fine, but the resolution 11858, authorizing the payment of bills and payroll, I apologize for not glancing at that sooner, but the number of 681,000 and change stuck out at me because there's no way that bills and payroll for the month would be in that amount. And the correct amount is in the backup, 2,861,160.36. I think that maybe the correct number wasn't in the title when the agenda was produced. So I will look at that more closely before it goes to production and make sure that doesn't happen.
And I will move to make that amendment.
Second.
Okay. All right, so other comments from council? Councilman Smallwood.
Yes, I just wanted to point something out that was in the consent agenda. It's the accepted donation of a memorial bench at the Tatlock Field for Lori Rip Collins and Craig Lori Collins. Sherry and Cindy Collins graciously donated an amount of $1,500 to purchase a bench for placement at Tatlock Field in memory of Lori Rip Collins, who founded, one of the founders of Summit Lacrosse in 1972. So that will be purchased soon, and hopefully we'll see that at Tatlock Field very soon in memory of Lori Rip Collins, one of the founders of the Summit Lacrosse Club in 1972.
That's awesome.
Oh, this is just council comments, right? Correct?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So I did have a couple other things.
Yeah.
Okay. A few weeks ago, we passed a resolution.
Councilman Small, this is just on the consent agenda.
Never mind. I'll hold off. Thanks.
You really want to get out of here, don't you?
I have a wager with Mr. Giacobbe that we gather before 9.
Blow it as usual.
Yeah. Other council comments on the consent agenda? All right, so do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the amendment on the bill, the payment of bills and payroll, which is finance number 7?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda is approved. All right. Okay, we're on one of our favorite parts of the meeting, of our public comments. If any member of the public at this time would like to come up and make a comment on something that was not on today's agenda, now would be your opportunity to do so. We just ask, as Madam Clerk had mentioned, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Give your name, your address, and this time, please approach the dais if you'd like to speak.
Hi, Daniel Jackson, 28 Morris Avenue. On October 17, 2023, Anita Musak had spoken to the council about the fact that her very busy street was having more traffic congestion because on Bryant Parkway, there was a trial to make it one-way. She offered empirical evidence to a video that she had taken. This was before any ordinance was introduced. She had offered to take more videos if necessary. I know, living a block and a half roughly away from the light, that the light at Orchard and Morris Avenue really doesn't funnel a lot of traffic. It's very quick. There's one lane. Sometimes if cars go back towards, like where the Huntley Tavern, not quite that far, but I can't make a safe left turn. I used to be able to use Edison Drive as a safety valve. I don't use Edison Drive. I don't want to use Edison Drive. I want to use the light. But it's a lot of problems. I have to make 3 left turns just to get onto Orchard Street now because Bryant Parkway is one way. And some of you may say, hey, you know what? We make decisions. Some people are happy, some people are not. That's unfortunate. I think misses a point. Had Summit said, we're going to look at the traffic safety of Bryant Parkway. We see some sight distance problems. We think that they correlate with the sight distance problem, some of the accident reports that we're looking at. we have to make some capital reconstruction to maybe widen some areas to improve visibility and maneuver. Had they done that and then said, if we have to impact other surrounding major streets, we'll try to get more people involved rather than this limited group on Bryant Parkway and Edison, it would be a lot different. But Summit did not do any of those things. It said there are 3 reasons why we're making Bryant Parkway one way. One is speed, which makes no sense. If somebody came up here and had a speeding problem, I don't think anybody would say, let's make your street one way to correct the problem, and we'll funnel it onto other streets. You wouldn't do that. It doesn't make any sense. Second was volume. But I can tell you that when a question came up on October 17th of 2023, did you do studies of the other streets? There was this tentative yes, and the safety committee can introduce the ordinance when it wants, which it did not, even though there were promises about we're going to have secondary studies and initial studies and the line painting was temporary. Not 30 days passed after October 17th when the ordinance was introduced, was hastened. And I know Anita and myself both, both of us were at meetings in April of 2023. We've sent emails. Are you going to do a secondary study? What's going on in this hastened ordinance, which it was? And we have received nothing back. So I have 3 questions. One is, what traffic safety necessities propelled, I forgot to mention the third reason why was given was there's a cut-through street. And the fact of the matter is, if you look at the whole Bryant area park with Broad Street, Orchard Street, Springfield Ave, they're all cut-through streets because they're all tributaries of major streets.
Mr. Jackson, we want to just get to your questions real quick.
Yeah, so well, the 3 questions would be, number 1 is, what traffic safety necessities propelled you to close it? Number 2, what other streets, the scope and nature of the studies, other than Bryant Parkway, important. And then number 3 would be, what are you going to do to help us? It just seems to me that the council could have said, we want to help the citizens of Edison and Bryant Parkway, but we're not going to do so by throwing, 1,400, which is half of the amount of the daily. We're not going to do that by throwing it on to the other streets.
Okay, thank you so much for your comments and questions.
If I could,
Yes.
Mr. Council President.
Please, Director Schrager.
Yes, I don't want to turn this into question and answer, but I do believe there's a reason I didn't leave yet, so this works out perfect. So just to share for the governing body, on Monday, July 7th, we have our signal contractor and our striping contractor who will be at the intersection to make the adjustments that were a result of the traffic changes from the one-way implementation a year ago. So we feel once that's done Monday, Tuesday, it'll take some time just to work its way out, but we think there will be, much improvement starting middle of next week. Ignoring any rain or anything, Monday is the day.
Thank you. All right, other comments from the public, please?
All right, anonymous. I was very interested in what I just saw here. I believe I saw Councilwoman Hamlet have the engineer stay to answer that question when we normally have him leave. I know it's not a question and answer session, but he does stay for the whole meeting. It might be a good idea to have him stay in case someone has a question that they could address, like just happened. And you let this public speaker speak for a minute past his time. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mike. You know what you did last time? You cut me off right when it was at 0. And you know what also happened? You gave me 2 minutes back from a clock that hadn't even started at 3 minutes, and when I watched the tape back, I had 25 seconds taken from my time. But you made sure I didn't get a second more to speak. And if you cut me off tonight, I have a gavel in my pocket, and I'm going to call you out of order, and I'm going to bang the gavel. Okay? And you have a warning right now. I'm giving you a warning. Do not interrupt me. When it's the public's time, you let the public speak. It even says here, during public comments, anything that's not on the agenda. I start speaking about something that was not on the agenda last time. You say you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it. And the week before, what do you tell me? When you say it's a good idea for people to give their name and address? Oh, you can say whatever you want to the council. You can say whatever we want. You can say whatever you want. And then when I say whatever you want, whatever I want, you're sitting there cutting me off. Cutting me off. Unbelievably disrespectful. And last time, I don't know how this council operates, but there's some sort of the way you guys tried to clear the room of the interns, disgusting. Disgusting.
Absolutely despicable. Shame on yourselves for doing that. Shame on yourselves. I mean, we have some dignity. Show the public some respect. Those youngsters stayed around for the whole meeting, and I watched Councilwoman Toth, Mayor Fagan, Council President Mike McTurnan. I'm not sure if Councilwoman Hamlet. There was a lot of you trying to shoo them out of the room, as if they're children. We don't want the children to see public comments. Despicable. Do I get to speak for an extra minute when my 3 minutes is up? I think it's great that you let him speak past his 3 minutes. I think it's nice to have that flexible 3 minutes each meeting. It's pretty crappy. I mean, despicable. And to think, the time before that, what did I do? When I was conducting my evaluation, I gave you an A for conducting a good meeting. And how did you respond? I gave you 3 inches of rope, you took 30 feet. Took 30 feet and hung it with yourself. So tell 5 people in the room why you think it's a good idea to give your name and address. Within 24 hours of those comments, 5,000 people all over the internet are eviscerating you. How foolish. So when my time's up, I'd like to speak for another minute. I'd like to sit up here and just keep talking about whatever I want. I mean, how this council conducts itself it's a little troubling. And I wasn't going to come back. I wasn't going to come back after I said you were doing a good job and everything like that. But now you're kind of stuck with me. And you do know who I am, because when you left that night, you called me by my real name. And I think it's great that you know who I am. I like that.
Could you wrap up, please?
Yeah, I'm finishing up. I
That's
got like
awesome.
35 more seconds.
How about wrap it up?
Don't call me up, because remember,
I'll give you your 20 seconds you think I stole from you, and then you're done.
I watched it on video, Mike, and now you're cutting me off.
You got 20 seconds.
Bang my gavel. All you need to do is nothing. Nothing. That's it. Let the public speak. Have some respect.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
All right, other public comments, please.
Hi, I have one.
Speak into the microphone so everyone can hear you.
My name is Anita Muzica at 118 Orchard, and it's a follow-up question to this gentleman who mentioned my name. And I've been here before, as you all know, and I'm here again because I'm not getting any answers from any of you. I email and nothing. I just want to know, is this the Bryant Park one-way street going to stay the way it stays, as a one-way street? I live on Orchard. I have tons and tons of traffic, especially during rush hours. It's really hard for me to pull out or into my driveway. I spoke to some police officers 2 weeks ago or so, and where they were putting the speedometer on Orchard. I don't know what the purpose of the speedometer is. It's a 40 miles per hour street, and maybe that controls how fast people are going. I'm just concerned about the volume that we are getting on Orchard due to the Bryant Park one-way street. So my question is, can someone please tell me, so I don't have to come up here again and again and again, if this is a done deal, or are you guys going to do something about it? If this is still in play of, reverting back to the two-way street, or am I stuck with it? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Other comments from the public?
Good evening, Jacqueline Lasaracina, Lasaracina. I'm a resident of Summit. I'd like to talk about pedestrian safety. Walkability is one of the top reasons people love visiting and living in Summit, yet pedestrian safety is often raised as a top concern. I'm here to ask Summit Council to please send out a community-wide pedestrian safety survey. This could be similar to what was done a few years ago with respect to the seasonal road closure for outdoor summer dining. I don't think we need to wait on the county or state to conduct a pedestrian safety study. The community knows where the high-risk zones are in their neighborhoods. The survey responses can then be combined with data from the Summit Police, and then this aggregated data can be reviewed to identify dangerous corners, crosswalks, and highly foot-trafficked areas where there are no sidewalks. At the same time, we should please be taking a fresh look at cost-effective pedestrian safety calming measures. We need to, of course, balance pedestrian safety with the desire to avoid creating obstacles or major disruptions for vehicles, while also being mindful of cost. Based on some initial research, I think Summit should expand the use of painted horizontal lines to encourage drivers to slow down. To be clear, not rumble strips or speed bumps, simply painted horizontal lines. Research shows that these lines can act as a visual cue to get drivers to decrease their speed. So at a relatively low cost, painted horizontal lines could increase pedestrian safety. We should please also take a fresh look at community-wide sidewalk planning in the Sidewalk Master Plan. Pedestrian safety is, of course, a really important part of Summit's overall public safety, so I urge you to please make smart investments now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Other comments from the public? All right, close our public comment section. We're now on to the last part of our meeting, which is councilpersons' comments and new business.
Council President.
Yes, Councilman Smallwood.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Ms. Lazare. It's actually on one of my council comments on safety. Yesterday, no, it was, I forget where I was. Today's Tuesday, right? On Sunday, I was driving down Springfield Avenue, going towards New Providence, and everyone knows that bend in the curve, coming down Springfield Avenue, going towards Little Kings. There was a young teenager, I would, if I had to guess, 13, 14 years old, on an e-bike, and he was in the bike lane. However, as we were making the turn, there was a landscaper truck. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we're both going to get there right about the same time. What is he going to do? Fortunately, he did the right thing. He slowed down and went to the right side of the truck as I passed on the left. So I'm thinking, okay, all right, I feel better about that. However, I get to the intersection by Little Kings. I had a red light. And the next thing I know, the same kid on the same e-bike passed me on my right side and literally cut in front of me across the entire intersection over to the Little King side. And he's not wearing a helmet. And I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be a disaster someday. These bikes, I have no idea how fast he was going. If I had to guess, 15, 20 miles an hour. But I know that they go faster than that. I know a few weeks ago, or a few council meetings ago, we passed an ordinance so that the e-bikes are no longer on our sidewalks in our downtown. I don't know what we can do. I'm going to defer to the safety committee and our police department, but I would like to strongly encourage stronger safety measures for at least children who do not have a license or under the age of 18 or under the age of 17 to go through a safety course, must wear a helmet. I've seen kids on e-bikes 3 at a time. And I know that there's only so much that we can do. However, it's not if, it is when there is going to be a tragic accident. And I would really hate to be a member of this council and not do everything possible to try and prevent that. Whether it's safety courses, making sure they wear their helmets. I'm not quite sure what the true answer is. I'm going to leave that to the experts. But from a member of this council, I want to make sure that we do everything that we possibly can to try and prevent something very tragic happening to one of our younger residents. And it scares the hell out of me, to be honest with you. With that being said, on the bike theme, things that you get to do as being a council member is being a judge at the 4th of July bike parade. And I'm really looking forward to it. So get your bikes ready. The bike parade starts at 12:15. Get there early. It is one of the most exciting things that we get to do and watch all the kids. They're so excited. We have different age groups, and it's really fun, and I'm really looking forward to Friday, July 4th bike parade. So that's all I had.
Thank you. Other comments from council? Councilwoman Toth.
Okay, thank you, Council President. I wasn't able to attend last week's special meeting on round 4 of our affordable housing obligation. I was literally off the grid on a family vacation that was planned months before the special meeting was scheduled. But I have watched both the planning board and the council meetings from last week. And at both meetings, our experts repeatedly stated that we can amend our round 4 affordable housing plan. So to that end, we can and should improve upon that plan. And here are a few of the action steps that have occurred to me. The Affordable Housing Committee has been sitting on its hands for months, watching this play out. Let's get that committee involved in improving our existing plan and use our residents' expertise. We can affirmatively change our zoning laws to encourage affordable housing and make it easier to build. We should do a deep dive into the vacant land assessment in the appendices of our affordable housing plan. Even a cursory review suggests that additional vacant land is available and should be added to our realistic development potential number. We should continue to work with developers to identify and facilitate additional small-scale affordable housing on appropriately sized infill lots. And we should re-engage with At Home and Summit with the goal of making their proposed all-affordable project at the old firehouse site a reality. I've heard several objections to that project, and I believe we can solve for all of them. And I'm confident my fellow council members and Summit residents have more ideas, some of them better. So please keep them coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other comments from council? Councilman Pulowski.
So a couple quick things, one on bike safety. A few meetings ago, maybe a few months ago, David Guida talked about some measures that we've spoken about, community programs, and we're putting together a safety program. It'll be like an assembly that'll happen at all of the schools every year. And so hopefully, once somebody matriculates all the way through, they will have had this course enough times that they know the right thing to do, and not just the fun thing to do, or what they think is fun anyway. Second, on pedestrian safety, I do have an update on the Butler Parkway Morris Ave crosswalk. I think the week before last, they cut the curb and made the ADA accessible ramp for the Washington School side at the corner of Butler Parkway and Morris Ave. And there was already a ramp on the Magic Fountain or Midas side. And we're hopeful that on the 7th, we'll be painting that crosswalk and installing the beacons. So kids will safely be able to get ice cream now.
I will too. Other comments from council?
Council President.
Yes, Councilman Boyer.
First, I'd just like to say I hope everyone attends the 4th of July. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the mayor's speech. The mayor had a great speech last year. Your first speech? Yeah, okay.
There's so many speeches before July.
Yeah. Also, during the event, there'll be some local bands playing, so I'm excited to see them at the big stage. That's Funk. I hate saying that, but that's the name of the band. Funk and Lorraine, named after the street. So I hope you all attend. And yes, the bike parade. And guess what? All of those kids are wearing helmets.
Get extra credit.
Yep. So the younger kids, they're teaching the older kids how to rock, right? We wear our helmets. So if you have a little one, bring them out. In regards to Brian's Pond, we do think at the safety committee, we had a consensus that it is too fast, both on Orchard and on Mars, 40 miles an hour, especially coming off the hill by the car wash and coming down, and then you got people crossing the street. We think it's absurdly too fast. So we agree with all the residents down there, and we put in a request with the county to get that lowered. I think it was 25 miles an hour. We put something like that. I don't know, but we put a request to have that lowered. When it comes to the one-way, we'll talk about it. That was passed by the past council, and I haven't really. We'll discuss it in the safety committee meeting unless the chief wants to talk about it now. But I think we'll probably need to do a little research and see what the decisions were and what the data says, because I haven't looked at it, to be honest. The other thing, we've passed so many different bike safety initiatives this year. We just recently passed the one for electric scooters. And I just sent the chief a picture of what they're doing in Chatham, where they have some signage there where I guess is removable, telling the kids that, hey, you can't ride through town, because we want to keep folks on the sidewalk safe. But we have to do some education, and we have to enforce, right? Because there's still folks riding fast on the sidewalk. I live on Morris Avenue, so I still see every once in a while somebody zooming down, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be a tattletale and tell the chief, but they don't have license plates on the bike, so I don't know. But there was a kid that was hit recently by a vehicle, and I'm at my wit's end sometimes, and the mayor talks about it all the time. The council president talks about it, and Councilman Pulaski, the importance of wearing helmets. And I agree with Councilman Smallwood. I don't know what we can do here as a council. We've passed laws, we've passed ordinances, but we have to encourage these children, our children, our babies, to wear helmets. It's so important. And I think we'll all need to have further conversations about that. In regard to housing. 10 years for round 5 to see something happen at Vita, Glenwood, Weaver Street, it's just too long. We've been talking to the Summit Housing Authority about rehabbing certain units, but I agree with Council President. We have to think much bigger. I was just there the other day, and there's the constant complaints of the they didn't have air conditioner in the hallways, and this is in the senior building. They had it in the rooms, but in the hallways, sometimes the elevators don't work, and we can do better. I asked some people to come here today to speak, and hopefully we can get some folks from those areas to come in and just describe how they're living and what's going on with that. And I am so happy that we adopted them in our fair share housing plan. But we need to figure that out. We need the Summit Housing Authority to really do some work there. Secondly, it was great to hear Councilwoman Tove talk about the fair share housing plan. I'm so curious to see how she would have voted on it. I'm so happy that this council voted to adopt the fair share housing plan so that we didn't lose our immunity. That was very important, and I think we're right. We can make some adjustments to the plan, but not adopting it would have been catastrophic for this community, and I hope people just realize that. This council has acted so prudently, since taking office. We really have. And we just satisfied round 3. Right? We just got the judge sign off on it. So to all of those folks, whether good intended or not, we did our job. We got it done. And this council should be very happy about that. So thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Boyer. Other comments from council?
I have one.
Councilwoman Camelson.
Thank you, Council President. The residents on Orchard, I didn't know about, the upgrade to the traffic light, and I was just wondering if we could connect, just so I can understand better, and maybe we can talk about this in the Safety Committee, Councilman Boyer. What exactly the problems are now? I understand, it's very congested, but just so I have a better understanding overall. And then I would like to know, does that improve with the upgrades that Director Schrager was talking about? So I would like to connect with you to see how it goes forward, if there's any improvement there. And then we can also talk about that in the Safety Committee, if there's any other options we have. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, was Director Schrager saying that there was going to be an upgrade to the traffic light
Yes.
that would help move the traffic
Yes.
through better? Okay. So we're hoping that that will be an improvement, but I would still like to connect to know what's going on now, and is there any improvement moving forward? Thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Hamlin.
Thank you, Council President. Mr. Jackson, and thank you for coming tonight. I've spent, he's also a former city administrator, so he definitely knows what he's talking about. I've spent time at that intersection. I will connect with Director Schrager tomorrow, but I believe we are waiting. I don't want to misspeak, but I know that it's a very short window to make that left turn onto Orchard. I've stood there with you. What I would recommend is we put this back. I'm not sure if we ever closed out the DAR. I don't think so, but I think this should definitely go back to safety, and I'm happy to connect the dots where we left off. But thank you for coming. We'll make sure we take care of that. I was not here as well for the council meeting. I was here for the planning board meeting. Had the special experience of taking my first daughter to college. Yes, kids do go to summer school at college. And if anybody, I will also potentially be missing another meeting at some point between now and the end of the year. So happy to take her to college. I missed that meeting, but I would have enthusiastically endorsed that plan, as I did the night before at the planning board meeting. At the planning board meeting, our professionals were very thorough. We have done a great job. I think we've been working really hard on accomplishing our affordable housing goals. Mr. Burgess explained in depth at the council meeting regarding the Summit at Home proposal, which was overly dense, underparked. We did go back to that group, and we were waiting for them to come back with a different site. As we discussed, the city would have been on the hook if that team had not obtained funding. And if you are against overdevelopment, that was one of the most densely projects that was proposed, and our planners, who we trust, and they've led us through this. They've led us through a great process. They did not recommend that. Our city administrator did not recommend that, and it's not something that I would be supportive at from a parking perspective. I think Joe Burgess's words were, "That's a heck of a shortfall," and I will post that on my council page. But it's a really important meeting if you want to watch the planning board meeting. I watched the council meeting here as well, and just want to thank all of our professionals. Regarding the sidewalk plan, our engineer, Aaron Schrager, and his team have come up with, Tammy, there was a memo dated, I believe it was around May 1st. He has recommended the sites that need to be included in the new one. So, Council President, we might want to just get that on the next agenda, because we definitely need to look at Canoe Brook Parkway and some of the other sidewalks that we need to close out. So I think that might have been it. But no, I'm excited for our affordable housing accomplishment, and thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you. Other council comments? Yes, Councilman Pulaski.
Just a really quick one in case you missed the last meeting where Mr. Dennis White was in talking about his the at-home project. Now, when it was originally proposed, it was 40 units, and that's the density that Delia was just talking about. But at the last meeting, he said 50 to 60. So I don't know if he's been tweaking the plan a little bit, but if so, I would say it's in the wrong direction. So just want to throw that out there for anybody who missed it last week.
Great, thank you. Other comments? All right, I just have a few. One, the mayor and I met with, if you guys recall, last fall, we had a group of women come in and present. It's called Wait Till 8. And it's a program, a grassroots program to try and encourage parents to not give smartphones to their children until at least high school. I think it should go a little older, but that would be a great, great start. We had a really great conversation. They've made a ton of progress in our community so far, but I think there's a lot more work, and we've all agreed that there are other things that we can do to promote this. I know the Board of Ed is talking about a ban on cell phones at the high school and the middle school level. I'm not sure at the elementary school level. I think that's a great idea. It's a great start. We do that at the school that I teach at, and kids actually talk to one another in the lunchroom. It's amazing. It really is a good thing to see. And I always tell my students, you have no chance. They spend billions of dollars addicting you to this thing. And I know I struggle with staying off this thing too. Kids have no chance. And so we have to do something as a community. I think from the way, banning things is difficult, I think, as trying to get real change. And so I think, opting in and having families really look at this and making the right choice for their children is super, super important. So stay tuned. We're going to come up with some other initiatives with this group. The thing that I think was really encouraging when we spoke about this last fall, even to today, there's so much more research, so much more information out there that makes it really, really obvious that too much time on this really has a big impact on children's mental health, their ability to learn, attention, all sorts of different things. And that's great that that message is getting out there. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you for coming out around Orchard. This is not a new problem. I flash back 10 years ago when I was on council before, we were talking about this, and if you guys recall, Google Maps at that time was sending everybody on Bryant as a cut through. And the number, I think we did a traffic study back then, I couldn't believe how many cars were using it. So I know that you guys have been dealing with issues for a long, long time, and it doesn't sound like there's really been any magic silver bullet to fix them. So I sympathize with your struggles. I think it's great if you guys in maybe safety take this back up, maybe with what Director Schrager, the information that he comes up with after this change. Because, this hasn't come up overnight, and we can try and help solve it. It may take some time, but I'm glad you guys came in and talked. And if you want to reach out, I'd be happy to meet with you guys one-on-one about this as well. Summit Housing Authority. Councilman Pulowski and I attended their last meeting. I want to give a ton of credit to Councilman Boyer. I have asked him a ton of questions because he's been very passionate about this, and I'm like, I have no idea what is going on here. And I've asked him, and he's been a fountain of information. We went, and as Councilman Boyer said, there's this whole idea about how to really improve the quality of the residences that these people are living in. They have no money. They're literally nickel and diming to try and get money to fix roofs and things like that. And they want to work with the city on these plans that will fix, a handful of these units a year. We have 195 of them that are being managed by the Summit Housing Authority. It's a big thing. They need millions of dollars. And Reverend Harrield last week had a great statement. He said, there's so many talented people in this town, in this community, who really do understand a lot of the ins and outs of funding and finance and project loans and tax credits All that stuff goes way over my head. I'm not an expert on that. But I know that I want to reach out to some people and when Councilman Pulowski and I spoke, we said we are here to help you people, because they can't wait 10 years for round 5 to really dig into this. We have enough talent and knowledge in this community that we should be able to figure something out a lot sooner than that. So that's that. The last thing I wanted to talk about was our meeting last week. I had really no desire to talk about this vote again, particularly Councilwoman Calmelson's no vote on the project. But Ms. Calmelson explained her vote online, and she had some pretty accusatory things that she talked about on why she voted the way she did. One quote was, "Council leadership blindsided residents with a development project, leaving no time to incorporate residents' feedback or modify the plan." We have been going through this project and our round 4 thing for months. We have had closed session meetings after closed session meetings, explaining the process, why the process was the way it was. I have spoken on this dais talking about how compressed the legislation was, why they did it this way, or wondering why they did it this way. This was raised in closed session multiple times on why we can't go out to this. And it was explained to us by our lawyers and our planners that we were negotiating with developers. These are legal agreements that would end up going in our plan. And because it was a legal negotiation, we were not permitted to speak in public about this. Councilwoman Calmelson was in each and every one of those closed session meetings. It was explained to her why we couldn't go out. People asked questions as to why, pushing when we could do this. Councilwoman Calmelson never asked a question as to why in these meetings. So to say that leadership blindsided her, I just don't understand it. As a council person, your job is to ask questions if you don't understand things, to push back. I have one vote. We all do. We're all equal around that. So that, to me, is just something where if you're trying to give an explanation, own it. But you're part of the process. There were no surprises. No one walked out of this meeting on the other night and said, "Oh my gosh, we had no time." We've known this for months and have spoken about it for months. The other thing that Councilwoman Calmelson spoke about, she said, "I won't be bullied into approving something." When you're being bullied by someone. The implication is it's council leadership. I don't know. But again, every single closed session meeting what we had was, an opportunity to ask questions. The project that was in question had been talked about multiple times. Every single time there was an update on the information and the negotiations with these multiple developers, it was expressed in closed session, where people were able to give comments, people were able to say they liked it and we should push back. We took consensus votes on every single one of the projects, whether they were going to come into be part of our plan or not part of our plan. And people had lots of comments. Councilwoman Calmelson had no comments on any of these things. So to say that we're bullied by leadership, I just don't understand it. And I get it. That vote, in my opinion, was probably the most irresponsible vote any elected official I've seen in Summit over the last 15, 20 years has ever made. It was by voting no, you were saying you were opening up the town of Summit to builder lawsuits. That's what the vote was. We've been fighting this. Every single municipality in New Jersey has been fighting to maintain their immunity for 20-something years. It's the goal of all these plans. You know, we want to build affordable housing the right way and not lose our local authority to make zoning laws. Voting no, so that went all out the window. You basically said you're okay with allowing developers to come and sue us and build whatever they want, you know, to put in affordable housing. Now, I get it. I'm not a fan of all the process. We didn't make the law. Trenton did. Our governor passed it. We have to deal with it, though. We get dealt a hand, and we have to do the best we can around it. And some things got in our plan, and some things didn't. But as elected officials, we still have to do what's right for Summit. And to go through this and make excuses to say that something happened, like you had no agency, like I said, if you want to say this, didn't want to, maybe in hindsight, I don't know why, but I had to address this because I have worked, and I know everyone up here has really tried to have an environment where we can work together and ask questions internally. I try to talk to everybody about things that are on the agendas and what's coming up. Do you have questions around it? I am an open book. And all the heads of the different committees do a great job explaining what's going on in their committees. So, like, from that perspective, I'm just was very troubled by this. You know, I didn't want to talk about it, but this went out to the public, and I just can't stay silent when that type of thing goes on. So that was my comment. Other comments? Councilman Smallwood.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.